Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And this is actually take 2 of this. Did a good 10 minutes and hadn't started the recording. You know, as we're recording this, it's the eclipse. My Wi-Fi is going in and out, so who knows what we're going to end up with. But I really want to make sure that we get this program in because I'm going to have so much fun talking with Todd Baker. So welcome, Todd. How are you doing second time around?
I am still doing amazingly. Yes, still doing good.
I love it. Well, you know, at least I noticed before we got too far into this.
That's true.
Yeah. So let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into this.
All
So
right.
Todd Baker is a lifestyle transformation coach and the founder of Project 9 Life. He works with clients to help them set goals, hit targets, and achieve their dreams. A mindset expert, he believes consistency and simplicity are the key ingredients to making lasting positive changes. He helps people find clarity, overcome their limiting beliefs, and improve their health, wealth, and relationships. Based in Colorado, yay! Todd was inspired to help others after transforming his own life by making 3 simple changes. Weighing 320 pounds and working long hours as a real estate agent, the father of 2 realized he needed to take action to become the active dad his children deserved. After making a New Year's resolution in January of 2020, he cut out carbs, avoided added sugars, and started going for walks every day. Losing 100 pounds in just 12 months, Todd found not only a new lease on life, but a purpose too, helping others change their situations for the better. Oh my gosh. So Todd, I think you're the only person I have ever met in my life who made and kept a New Year's resolution. So talk to us a little bit more about that and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, it's I think statistics are like 99% are done by March 1st or something like that. And for me personally, like mine started with a resolution and it lasted 3 days because day 4 it was snowing and I was like,
and you're like, I ain't going out there.
And but instead of just saying, oh, it'll be spring or I'll wait till summer, like I spent the day really thinking about why it was important to me that I become more active. And it became less about whatever the scale said to me. And it was just being active and being healthy because in the end, I didn't want to be the dad who, you know, I couldn't participate in stuff with my kids.
Right.
I didn't want to be the dad who had to sit in the stands or, they'd come
couldn't
home
even go.
Or they'd come home and say, hey, we want to go camping. And I'd throw $50 at them and say, have fun. I wanted to be active to the point to where they came home and said, we want to do this. And I would say, let's get in the truck and go and just be part of their lives, not just for the short time, but for the rest of my lifetime. And that's a recurring theme. Like people with resolutions, they set them and they're so short-sighted.
Right.
It's, I want to do this.
Or they're totally unachievable.
Yeah. Or I want to do something this year. And then, we've all seen it. And then the next year you take another class that's make this year your best year. And then the next year, another class, make this year. And it's like, why are you repeating it? And, we've all heard it, the people that are like, this is my time. This is my year. I'm going to make this happen. But then they don't do anything different.
Right. Well, but I've been waiting for it to happen.
Right. The sun and the moon have now aligned perfectly. And it's like, that's not the way that it works. Like if you truly feel like your inspiration is at the point where you want to make something happen, learn from the times in the past that you didn't, and adjust, and then act on that. It's the difference between motivation and inspiration. Whereas, like with motivation, it's fleeting. It can speak to you one day and not the next.
Well, and a lot of times it's somebody has told you you need to do X, and you're like, yeah, that sounds good, and you're right. 5 days later, you're like, yeah, right, whatever.
Yeah. Whereas if every English teacher that teaches in fifth grade teaches everybody, ask why at least 5 times, and then you'll get the right answer. It's the same thing with your goals and what you want out of life. Like for me, it was, okay, I got to get in shape. Okay, well, why is that important? I kept asking, and it ended on my kids. I want to be there and active with them for my life, their lives, and the foreseeable future until someone pulls the plug. And that's that fire that's within me that I still walk every day. I still eat a good diet. I'm still active and healthy. And it's like my life has improved dramatically just by simplifying things and not convoluting them with clouds and 10,000 things and trying to remember what chapter in a book I'm on a certain program. And did I do this or did it doesn't make any sense. Simplify things to the point to where it's you don't think about it anymore. You just go to work.
Right. So speaking of work, one of the things that this made you do was to found your own company. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as I was walking, and your brain starts to work differently, when you become more active. And I started thinking about, like, I know I'm not the only person that gave up a resolution, and I found something that works for me. I can help other people. And, I kind of became, friends, family, stuff like that, like the uncompensated coach. And someone very smart said, hey, if you got a talent that people value, don't give it away for free.
Yeah, why aren't you charging for it?
So I was like, okay. So I founded the company. The logo is Project 9. Don't think anything of it. For the viewing guests out there,
it's not Cat's 9 Lives.
Not 9 lives. It's not 9 steps. My kids played baseball and softball, so we were sitting down talking about it. There's 9 people on the field at once. So there's that. Took a baseball diamond, turned it on a corner, came up with the logo. There you go. And my kids are still waiting on royalty checks.
Yeah, well, they got dinner last night.
Yes, they did. As far as the cats thing, I know you've got me by 1, but I'm down to 7. There's twice in my life where, by all rights, I probably should have died. I fell out of the back of a pickup truck in college going 55, hit the highway.
Oi.
Yep. Ended up with a lot of road rash. And then like 4 years ago, I had a seizure, spent 9 days in a drug-induced coma. Doctors came in every day and looked at my parents and said, we don't know. And that is something I wouldn't wish on even my worst enemy.
Right.
Because the dreams I was having were so vivid and so real. I woke up, thought I was on a boat. I was nowhere near a boat.
You were in Colorado.
I was in Colorado. Yes, exactly. So, but it really, for me, what it did is it made me thankful for every day, waking up, getting to experience just life and those moments. And, you could be having a horrible day, a bad day, something bad happens, everything like that. It just puts everything in perspective because I'm here to go through that experience for another day. And it was, I'd hate to, I mean, don't go out and do this to yourself, but you know, for me, it gave me the ability to just slow everything down,
right,
and really take the time to notice what's going on around you. Because not only is there those moments and cool stuff, but the thing that I realized, there are opportunities everywhere.
right,
If you just are in the right mindset and you pay attention.
right. Well, and it's when our lives are so cluttered with, I have to do this, 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 we don't see those other opportunities. And for me, when I went through what I did, it was definitely a wake-up call as to what the heck is really important in life. And a big part of that was, we need to simplify things. And so I love that that's what you work with businesses about, because I hear it all the time from business owners that they have so much on their plates. They couldn't take on anything else, and something gets thrown their way and they don't know what to do. So how do you work with people to say, okay, you really have to simplify?
Yeah. The best thing I can say is, if you wake up in the morning and you start looking at your day, you've probably started looking at your day about 12 hours too late already.
Right.
And if you've got, say, 10 things, could you make it 5? Like, could you combine a couple things and make it 5 or 6? And really just like, what's going to move the needle forward in your business, your personal, your, that clarity of a vision of what you want, what's going to move the needle forward, and what on that list is just busy work. Because what you end up finding is a lot of what you have to do on a daily basis as a business owner ends up being busy work. And it's not actually moving the needle towards, ROI, KPIs, all the stuff that you value. It doesn't move the needle. And that's where you need to focus your attention.
Right.
And there's little things that'll happen too. Like Brandon Dawson, he said this one time. He works with Grant Cardone. But he's like, if someone brings him something that will take less than 5 minutes of his time, he does it right then.
Okay.
Doesn't wait, just knocks it out. That way it comes onto his plate and it's off of his plate, and he can focus now on what's going to move the needle forward. You're going to have stuff that just requires time and effort that is busy work. And at that point, it's like, do you need to outsource it? Do you need to have...
Does it need to even be done?
Right. Does it need to be done? Is it something that someone else can do? Like, before the report gets to your desk, what did it go through until it required your attention? And could it have been handled along the way so that it never gets to your desk? And it's really just keeping your eye on what your vision is for the company and where you want it to go and what you want it to be. And 95% of your daily activities and actions should be focused on that. And other people can handle the rest of the stuff.
Right. I kind of do the 15-minute rule. If it's not something directly pertaining to the business, if it's going to take more than 15 minutes, I need to outsource it. And there are things that I like to do. Like, I like to update my website. I like doing that. I have fun doing that, but I can get it done in whatever project I'm doing in under 15 minutes. If it's going to take more than that, it probably takes more brain cells than I have, and I need to outsource it anyway, because I'm just going to break it and have to have somebody do it. I was developing an initiative not long ago pertaining to having cancer. And I thought, I design websites, I do branding, but I knew if I wanted it done, right? Because I would put it off, I do all sorts of things. I needed to hire it done, and I needed to hire it done at the level that was appropriate. So not, let's go to Fiverr and see, how inexpensive I can get it. And so I made the investment. I hired a website developer. I hired a brand developer. It was not cheap, but I got something that is so phenomenal that I never would have done on my own. And now, does that hurt the ego a little bit? Sure. But at the same point, my ego says, well, you were smart enough to have somebody else do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like you said, the daily upkeep, not only is it something that helps your business, your branding and everything like that, but it's also something that you enjoy. And that's one thing that I think a lot of not just business owners, but people that, work for other people, they dread that 8 hours. They wake up in the morning, they're just like, oh my God, I got to do this.
They spend Sunday afternoon going, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, not that you're like out like playing sand volleyball or whatever, but like find things during your day that you actually enjoy.
Right.
And dedicate some time to those. Put a smile on your face. I mean, life is about living life,
right?
Not just head down in a computer and getting jobs done and stuff like that. Enjoy it. That's why we're alive, is to add to and to explore the world that we live in.
Right. And it is fairly easy to add things. I interviewed a young lady several weeks ago on the program, and she has a book club where you're reading a fiction book, but you're figuring out how it can translate into business skills. And she said, like science fiction is always really good about teamwork and things like that. And she said, because we all, or many of us want to read fiction, right? We want to read for fun, but we all go, oh, we can't. We should be reading Wall Street Journal and Forbes and this book on that and this book on that. But because we're going, right, we don't retain it because, we read just enough to kind of pay attention and satisfy the whatever thing in our brain is going, you need to read that. But when you're reading fiction, you're putting yourself into that story. And then when you translate it into this is how it's a good business tool, you kind of killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah, it allows you to be creative while you're reading it.
Right.
And then when you translate it, you're going to take, I mean, you could talk to 1,000 people. They're all going to take different parts of it and translate it differently. And that's using your creative side is to, this is how it spoke to me. This is what it means in my specific situation. And this is how I'm going to use it. And that part is absolutely fun because you're not only, doing something that's not just watching TV or, just sitting there. It's like you're engaged, you're reading, your brain is working and the stuff coming out and you're using your creativity. And if you look at it as, like you just said, it's then take that, fiction book and take it into a business lesson. You're being even more creative with it.
Right. And I think that's so important because so many businesses are functioning the way they've always done it, right? And we hear that all the time. Why do you do it this way? Well, because it's the way we've always done it. But why do you do it that? Because, and they're kind of caught in that loop, right? And they never stop to think, should we still be doing it this way? And I know that's one of the things that you work with businesses about. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's it starts with individuals, right? And there's the great thing about being self-employed and being who I am, and I love Tony Robbins. I mean, he's a great example. But if you were to go to Tony and say, "Hey, we want you to come and help our business," he's going to put you into his program,
right?
And it's basically, here it is, buy it. Whereas, with myself, it's like, I take the time. I want to find out, like, what do you actually need? Where are you struggling? How can I cater a program that's going to benefit your employees and yourself, short term and long term? But it always starts kind of with, the employees and helping them identify, through the program that I offer, there's 6 steps. It starts with mindset, and then you go to what, which is your goal, why, where you ask yourself why, how, which is the steps, why not, which is look back what prevented it in the past, let's learn from that, and then what's next. And through that, it's like there's a ton of different lessons and talking points and things that people learn. But in the end, that's it. And people start to make progress because it's simple. They don't have to think about where they're at in that process. And they can actually start making the progress. And let's face it, people set resolutions for one of 3 reasons: health, wealth, relationships. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, and business owners included, that if this is something that you bring to your team and you've got 20 people that are like, I'm focused on my relationships, well, the business owner might look at it and say, well, this isn't worth it because they're focused on something that has nothing to do with it. But as your relationships improve and you start to make progress, you don't just grow one column, the others start to come with it. Now you end up with employees that are higher energy, more confident, more engaged, because they're actually making strides in their life, and and they're able to achieve more, and by secondarily they get more efficient, they get more creative in looking for ways how to, rather than excuses why not. And as a business owner, you can look at it and say, yes, it's an investment, but what would you rather invest in? Quarterly awards, which, let's face it, that's for the line level managers to get up there in front of execs and talk. Monthly taco bar, which people enjoy for that one day. An employee health program, which very few people take part in, because it's like you got to do this. Or would you rather invest in something that you, as the business owner, you get higher ROI, you get better KPIs, your business actually starts to grow and improve because the level and the capability and the attitudes of your workers are improving as they're growing. And all of a sudden you're looked at as a place to work where, I've got this huge role of people that are all just leveling up, and you don't think they're going to tell other people about it? Of course they are. I love my job because, they introduced this program and now my relationship with my husband is better than ever. Or, I put together my own kind of health program and I'm eating better, and God, I look great. And I love my job. They don't have anything to do with each other. But guess what? Your job is improving. So it's and then it's working with those management teams as to, how do you support it? Is it something that you say, hey, we're just going to offer this, and you leave it to the employee to buy into and to pay for, or whatever? The complete opposite is you pay for it and you say, we're sponsoring this for everybody, and it goes from there. It requires, you're going to get the same program. It's just the methodology and kind of where you're at budget wise and what your intent is. But that's where it helps, because I love to sit down with people that are in those positions, be it owners or decision makers or whatever, and creatively figure out, like, how, with your budget and what you're looking for and what I offer, how can we make this work together that the business, yourself, and your employees all are going to benefit.
Right. So what do you tell the business owner who says, well, Todd, that sounds great, but they're going to be so, I'm going to do so much for them that they're going to leave us. Because I've heard that before, like with education programs, when companies have offered, people to pay for their education. And they said, well, but then they'll leave us.
Any business owner that you talk to, if let's say they've got 100 employees, you can literally sit down with those owners and say, name 10 people that are disgruntled that you're concerned about leaving. Because, and they'll easily name them. And offering them a program, if they're disgruntled, they were leaving anyway.
Right. So why not kind of make it happen?
Well, I mean, if they're going to leave, they're going to leave.
Right.
The program doesn't promote them necessarily to leave. It makes them a better overall person, and you're helping them achieve where their goals are. And that's where working with management to have some of those discussions. I mean, it's almost a fallback for people. Oh, Bob is disgruntled. They bring him in for a meeting, and they end up saying, well, how about we increase your pay or give you a different bonus? Money only buys so much,
right?
And it's having the courage to sit down and say, what can we do, with a program like mine? What can we do to help promote you, right, and hold you accountable and help you achieve what you're setting out to within this? Because that support, let's face it, I think it's something like 90% of people, when they leave a job, they don't leave a job because of the company. They leave a job because of their manager. Right. And it's, if your managers now are more engaged, and it's a fine line to walk, where people are sharing stuff, and they might not share everything, and you just kind of open the door and just say, look, we're here to support you. You don't have to share anything personal, private, anything like that. Just know that we're here for it. I'm here as well. And that's the beauty of it, is that if they're not willing to share necessarily with their manager to help them have them accountable, they've got me. And I don't report back to management. Right.
So you're unbiased.
That is a personal conversation. That's one of the things that they get as part of the program is, it's the classes, which is 8 weeks. They get a private Facebook group, and they have access to Voxer, which allows them to leave me direct messages, right, that are personal and private, that I'll respond to, that doesn't go anywhere further than that. So, but that support of helping someone achieve some of those goals, that keeps people. And if they're going to leave, let's say their dream is to start their own company or something like that. Why would you not want to promote someone like that within your own company? Because the first cheerleader that you're going to have outside of your company that's going to steer people back to you is going to be the person that you helped put in that position.
I love it. And I love that you say, talk to the employees about this. I worked for a company, and we did those team building exercises.
Oh yeah.
Where we went off site. Right. And so everybody was like, cool, a day that I'm not having to work. And, and they always did it with the new people, because the other people had been through it. So us poor little newbies got to go do this, and it was horrible. I hated it. It was, the stand up on the ladder and fall over backwards and pray to God they catch you, and all sorts of things like that. And I got nothing out of it besides thinking this was an entire day wasted. Now, that said, there were other people who thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It did help them bond, but part of it was a big company. And so, we were with people we might never work with again, might see in the lunchroom, right? Things like that. So, knowing, okay, Bob, Bill, and Sue will catch me if I fall. Well, if I'm not working with Bob, Bill, and Sue, what good is that? And so some people, like I said, some people really liked it. Some people really did think, "Whoa, cool, a day off." And then there were people like me who thought this is a big waste of time. And I mean, this was 20 years ago. And the fact that I still think, oh my God, this was a big waste of time shows you just really what I thought about it. So, like I said, I love that you say, talk to the employees, find out what they want to do. Are you going to make everybody happy? Yeah. It is kind of majority rules, but at least you made an effort and they'll appreciate that.
And you did something that very few companies do.
Mm-hmm.
Every other company out there does the award ceremonies, the
mm-hmm.
taco bars, the team building.
Yeah.
And it's because some manager
mm-hmm.
from 2 generations ago or some
mm-hmm.
textbook said, this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just do it.
Right. But we've always done Taco Tuesday.
But we've always done Taco Tuesday. And this is a way to say, hey, look, we're going to support you.
mm-hmm.
And we want to be here for you because we value you,
mm-hmm.
long-term relationship and stuff like that. But this is how we're
mm-hmm.
going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help grow you as
mm-hmm.
people,
mm-hmm.
as husbands and wives, mm-hmm. as healthy individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help you with, your money and your
mm-hmm.
wealth and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on your goals,
mm-hmm.
because goals in the end, they are personal and
right.
they're yours.
Mm-hmm.
And, the same kind of thing, you ever have the monthly goal session with your manager?
Ugh, I hated those.
You sit down for a half hour and it's all about corporate goals.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Did you meet this? Did you do that? Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you just send me an email on this?
Mm-hmm.
What if you sat down and you spent 5 minutes on,
mm-hmm.
hey, look, we're doing good, mm-hmm. you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about how you're doing
mm-hmm.
with, I know you said the last time
mm-hmm.
that you were starting on
mm-hmm.
a health kick. How's
mm-hmm.
that going? How can we help?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Right.
And it just changes that
mm-hmm.
conversation completely
mm-hmm.
to that employee now feels like I'm truly supported.
Right. I'm valued.
Like I'm valued. They don't want me. They yes, they need me there to hit my mm-hmm. numbers and to make sure that I'm performing, mm-hmm. but they value me as a human mm-hmm. being. And they want me to ascend and to transcend my mm-hmm. life. And they're there to support that. Mm-hmm. It changes the dynamic of that conversation so much.
Right.
And it gets people, it's mm-hmm. different. Mm-hmm. And so people are going to be like, okay.
Yeah. And they're not going to open up to you probably to start with.
No. And they won't, but, mm-hmm. but there's other outlets, mm-hmm. There's coworkers that
mm-hmm.
they're friends mm-hmm. outside of work. There's me, mm-hmm. Like they've got access to be mm-hmm. able to either, mm-hmm. If it's public, they can mm-hmm. post it on the Facebook mm-hmm. group that they get access to. Mm-hmm. If it's truly private, send me a message mm-hmm. on Voxer.
Right.
And that way it's private mm-hmm. and it doesn't mm-hmm. go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
It does me no good
mm-hmm.
as a business owner to be known as, don't bring that guy in from the employee standpoint because everything you say he's going to share and then it's going to come back.
Because then nobody's going to tell you anything.
Mm-hmm. Right. I value my business mm-hmm. and my kids mm-hmm. way too much. Mm-hmm. So you send me a message on mm-hmm. Voxer and I'll send it back.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as that goes.
Right. And I think a big part of it, now I haven't been in corporate America in quite a long time, but it was one of those where I think people were scared of the communications. And, and now, of course, you still have some of the, there's these HR rules. Well, okay, you can get away. You can get around some of those, but obviously be careful and, don't do anything that's going to get the company in trouble. But at the same point, it's about developing those relationships. And,
Mhm.
it just, and having those conversations. I remember several years ago, I was working with this lady on her LinkedIn profile because she wanted to leave the company. And so she said, I need to spiff it up. And so we were working on her profile, and her boss came to her and had seen it and said, what are you doing? And she was honest. She told him, she said, here's where I want to be. Here's where I am here. I need to leave. And she expected the next words out of his mouth to be, then go now. Instead, he said, you could do that here. Why don't we see how we can make that happen? And I mean, that was just, it was like, oh my gosh. And, and she said, so she kept her benefits, she kept her parking spot, all of those various things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that that manager had, the wherewithal to do that, because my guess is he might have, it probably would have been easier in some ways to say, then go. Now, we all know it's really hard to replace employees, even ones that aren't doing a great job. But yeah, he was like, we value you and we want to keep you. So how can we make it happen? And I think from the employee perspective, we're afraid to ask because we think we're going to be shown the door.
Yeah. Well, it's just because someone might not be succeeding
Mm-hmm.
in their current role
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that they're not the right person.
Right.
They just might be in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
role.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a salesperson who they're constantly, lower third
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, but through conversations
Mm-hmm.
or their interests or they express to you, and they're really good at advertising.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, then, okay, that's great. Then
Mm-hmm.
we value you
Mm-hmm.
as an employee. You're just in the wrong seat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move you to this seat.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be happier. We're going to be happier because now we've taken a talented individual, and instead of having to the crapshoot of trying to find someone, we can just shuffle some things and put the right people in the right roles.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get that unless you have the courage of the employee
Mm-hmm.
to say, like your friend
Right.
did, like
Mm-hmm.
this, be very honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the security and the talent of a manager
Mm-hmm.
to say, wait, I've got two choices. You can leave, or
Mm-hmm.
I can get you that same opportunity and keep you here.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we were talking before the program about COVID and the fact that, pre-COVID, everybody toddled their little selves into their desks and all of those things. And now, we're trying to figure it out, right? Is it going to be that people go back into the office full time? Do they go back in part time? Do they do hybrids? How do you think that kind of mixes in with all of this?
Well, the thing about it is that with the program that I offer, like I'm like you, like I have clients that are global,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing that has to adjust is, people in Australia, it's Tuesday,
Right.
when I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to them, but it's all on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and that's where some of that
Mm-hmm.
just maneuverability and stuff that I'll work with companies on. Like, do you want me to come out and sit down with the
Mm-hmm.
entire company and I'll go through everything, get introductions done, release the program, and then I'll come back a quarter later
Mm-hmm.
and do a follow-up?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I'll do that. But in terms of just how it works with people, y'all have access to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't miss anything.
Right.
Everything is online anymore. So you get full access to everything. I think if anything, being at home, especially if it's like something to do with health or relationships, especially something like that, being at home may actually accelerate your progress because, you don't have to wake up and shower and get dressed and drive to work. You can wake up, go for a walk, come home, shower, and then just sit down,
right.
and you're at work.
I tell people I don't have to put shoes on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Same thing with relationships. It's like, you can enjoy lunch together, or you can cook dinner together, stuff like that. But in the end, with just as the world has grown and evolved, COVID or no COVID, everything is becoming more remote, which personally is good and bad. I mean, it's good because of access. It's bad because I still love meeting people.
Right. Face to face still is very beneficial.
And talk to people. And, like you, I'm sure I network like crazy, and I go to as many meetings as I can, just because you can see people, and it's more than just this.
Right. Right.
But the access and the benefits don't change for people. Doesn't matter if how their work environment is set. But that's where, I'm open to, like I said, sitting down and saying what works for you and your company and your employees, what works best.
Right. Yeah, I remember it was, I don't know, a month or two into COVID when I was talking to a manager, and he was a micromanager, and it bothered him to no end that his employees were not where he could literally reach out and touch them. Right. He wanted to be able to walk from office to office and do all of these things. And I said, well, yeah, you'll lose that. I mean, you can do Microsoft Teams, you can do Zoom, you can do whatever, but they've prepared, because if they're not ready, they're just not going to turn their camera on. Right. But he said, well, I don't trust that they're getting the work done. And I said, well, when you were able to see them in person every day, did you think they were getting the work done? And he said, well, with some of them, yes, with some of them, no. And I said, well, I got to tell you, the ones that you were worried about when you could see them, that's the issue. If you didn't trust them then, there's really, it's going to be hard to trust them when you can't go see them. And I think that's where some people got a little freaked out by it, was they did think I need to see them. And they didn't trust people. I mean, that was just, and obviously there are businesses and things where people have to be in an office. But yeah, you trust them or you don't.
Yeah. And proximity is not the determining factor.
Right. Yeah.
Because the other question you could have asked that manager, by you hovering over someone and seeing if they're getting the work done, was it them getting the work done, or was it you stepping in and going, okay, do this,
right?
Because they weren't getting the work done. You were doing their work for them.
Right. And I think when people adapted to the fact that, okay, maybe we're not doing 9 to 5 anymore. Maybe we're doing the when you get the work done, you get the work done. And of course, I think we really saw that when people had their kids at home, right? And they were trying to teach and do all of those things. And so they weren't doing 9 to 5. They were working at 11 o'clock at night, because that was the only time when they could actually sit down and do it. But by gosh, they got it done. Wow, look at that. But it is, you get so many things done too when you are in person. When you're getting coffee and you say, oh my gosh, did you see the solar eclipse? Or, we're filming, or, we're recording this the day after the NCAA women's basketball tournament. And so, people are going to be talking about the tournaments and all of those things. And you don't do that as much on Zoom. I mean, you do a little bit, but and so then you build that trust, you build all of those things that go along with it, because then it's, you flow naturally into a business conversation. But, I think the companies that are making it work, it's incredible what they're doing. I've seen some that have said, yeah, we do the first 10 minutes of every Zoom, and it's required that people are there of the chit chat. What did you do over the weekend? All of those things. And he said, we made it required because people wouldn't come. They were like, yeah, I don't care about that. Well, they did, but he said, yeah, we do that. And then we're done with it. And we go on with the meeting. And so I think it's been interesting to see how people have adapted. And I think it's also been very interesting when companies have said, you will all come back. And people are like, nope.
Yeah. And I'd love to see, I haven't seen anything recently, but I'd love to see statistics on like individual workers' productivity pre-COVID in an office.
Yeah, because there for a while, productivity went way up. It was amazing.
Yeah, because people were like, well, I can just keep working because I can just get up for 5 minutes, go heat up lunch, and then I'm sitting at home anyway. I can I can eat whatever. And I've seen it in a couple companies that I've worked with, and granted they were, they had all local workforces, but 3 or 4 of them would be on these, their health journeys or whatever, and they would get up and they would go and they would do whatever they wanted. I think they went to the same gym, and they would just go together. And they created their own little subgroup out of it, and they had their own accountability partners, and they each had their individual goals as to why they were doing what they were doing. But they realized, like, having those 4 cheerleaders with them allowed them, it held themselves accountable.
Right.
Like they couldn't wake up that day and go, not today. Because they knew there was 4 other people that were like, no, we're here. Where are you at?
Right.
And I think people will find that too. People will find a way, even if they're located on different sides of the globe, they'll find a way to connect with each other and say, hey, this was my goal for today. What was yours? Did you hit yours? Did you hit yours? What challenge did you face? How did you overcome that? And they'll problem solve it because the program is so simple. There's all these different things that you'll start to figure out because it's all clarity towards getting to where you want to go, instead of I'm only on chapter 2, I'm on chapter 3, I'm on this one. It's like, no, it's you're all on the same thing. It's just go to work.
Right. I think, and this is universal. One of the things that I have heard is a lot of places discovered they didn't need nearly as many meetings, right? Because you had a meeting for this and a meeting for that and a meeting for this. And it was like, no. And part of that was, people were like, well, no, I'm not available at that time now because I am, doing my kids, helping them with school, or I work nights now, or whatever it was. And when we do have meetings, we seem to do them much more efficiently. Now we still have some that aren't, but it's been interesting to see that change. And the thing for me is it has really expanded my networking. You mentioned that before. Since COVID started, I have not been to a single networking event here local, none. And part of that was, health reasons. I couldn't go be around a whole bunch of other people, and I wasn't going to mask up and do all of that. But it really was, I don't want to put my shoes on. And so I do all of my networking now online. And what I have found is it is much more focused, and it's with the right people. I belong to 4 business associations here in Atlanta. I think it's important to support your local business community. So I still belong to them, but I don't attend. And every year when it comes up, I'm like, but I realized I lost no business from it. I miss seeing some of those people, right? Because I saw them every single week, it seemed like. And I really miss the Southern cooking, but it was like, it would be 3-ish hours of my day, sometimes every day, to go and do those simply for the social aspect. And it was like, nah, I don't need to do that. I'm going to do this 45-minute Zoom and get far more out of it. And I've got 2 hours back in my day that I can do whatever I want with.
Yeah. exactly. It's that focus certainly helps. It's
Mhm.
like, you have clarity on
Mhm.
the what you expect to get
Mhm.
out of it, and by having that focus,
Mhm.
it cuts out a lot of the
Mhm.
clouds and the noise, and it's
Right.
just, this is where we're going.
Mhm. Right. Right. And I think you're right. Focus is probably the best word for all of this, because we're working from home. You don't want to work 8 hours. Okay. That means I have to focus. I have to sit down, and for my 7 hours, my whatever, I'm going to get everything done that I need to get done. Okay. And so the boss that goes, well, wait a minute, you're only working 7 hours. It's like, yeah, but I got everything done. you know,
Yeah.
and I've had bosses like that in person where, I get everything done and have a little bit of free time and, do whatever with it. And they didn't like that because they could see me doing whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but I got everything done. What do you want me to do? You want me to do it again?
Right.
And
Yeah, I've had enough coffee already,
mhm,
so I
yeah,
don't. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I could get up and walk around, but that's just going to be distracting to other people and all of these things. And it's really given us so much more flexibility with our schedules, that we are thinking, okay, I need to do this, 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 and this, and be done with it.
Hmm. Yep, exactly. It's focus goes a long way.
Mm-hmm,
It's like, would you rather work 8 hours
mm-hmm,
and have a lot of downtime, a
mm-hmm,
lot of chats at the coffee pot, a lot of, time spent
mm-hmm,
not doing it? Or would you rather be hyper focused for
mm-hmm.
4 hours,
Right.
get everything
Mm-hmm,
done, and get the 4 hours back?
mm-hmm. Right. Right. And then you add in commute times. I'm here in Atlanta, and commutes are horrible. My
Yeah.
husband has gained back about an hour and a half each day on good days by not having to commute.
Yeah.
And so then he uses, that hour and a half to do whatever he wants with. But it's really funny. I remember talking to one person, and she said that was her alone time, was her commute. And so she kept doing it. And I went, what do you mean? And she said, well, I used to, my commute was 20 minutes. And she said, so I still get in my car, I drive for 10 minutes, I turn around, I drive back. And I said, seriously? And she said, yeah, that's the time where I decompress. I listen to a podcast, I listen to music, I do whatever. And she said, and it works. And it just amazed me that, because I was thinking, cool, you got, 20 minutes to do what you want. That was what she wanted. She wanted that total alone, be in the car time where nobody was going, mommy, 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 or wifey, 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 or, whatever. And so she just kept doing her commute. It was just a little round trip thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do what you do, what works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing about all of this is we have to find the way that works the best for the employees so that they give us their best effort.
Yep, exactly. And you benefit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
uh, but yeah, it's pretty simple and
Mm-hmm.
straightforward. It's I know you said the how to get in touch with me. The easiest way, the project9life.com is the website. If you're an individual,
Mm-hmm.
just go to the coaching section. You can go through, it'll run you through a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and you can book a half-hour call. It's
Mm-hmm.
complimentary. I
Yeah.
just want to
Big
make sure
button.
that,
Book a free call. It's orange.
yep. And that way it's like, I want to make sure that you're the right fit for the
Mm-hmm.
program, and I'm the right
Right.
fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business owner and you want to talk more about, like, what it would look like for you and your group, just
Mm-hmm.
go to the contact us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an email, and you
Mm-hmm.
just email it to me. And that way, we can have an honest
Mm-hmm.
discussion about what's going to
Right.
work best. Website's great, like yours. It'll show you a lot of stuff. Got a great firm that I work with that
Mm-hmm.
I've been published
Mm-hmm.
around the world, and continues to do
Mm-hmm.
so. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information out there, a lot of the podcast
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, in the end, I think the one theme that I want everyone to take out of this is that if you want something different in your life, do something different. Don't fall into the same, this is my year thing. It's going to happen this time. If you want different, do different.
I love it. Normally I ask for final thoughts. That was it right there. I love it so much. So I have been having such a fun conversation with Todd Baker. He is the founder and CEO of 9projectlife.com. And it's the number 9 in the website. Don't spell it out.
It's Project 9 Life.
Oh, sorry. Project 9 Life. Yep. And like I said, the number 9, not spell it out. I'm Deb Creer. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.